The world is crazy. Things are happening at such a pace that it's really important to not just focus on how you're leading organizations, but how are you leading yourself? How are you maintaining your sanity, your resilience, your sense of self, despite the things that are happening around you over which you have no control?
Welcome to the Leadership Tea, where we talk about what it takes to reach the executive level and be a powerful leader. We're here to share our journey and our insights, our triumphs, and even our tough lessons learned. I'm Belinda.
And I'm Shelby.
Today, we thought we would talk about the things that we use in our lives to not crash out, because things are kind of crazy right now. We've talked a lot in recent episodes about leading through change and how do you take care of yourself and how do you take care of your teams. So you've seen those messages from us. But despite all of that, there is just a great deal of change happening across sectors at a really fast pace. There's a lot of information coming to us from many different directions that can take us across a range of emotions constantly. And I think it's really important as leaders that we acknowledge that, we find ways to be aware of that and take actions accordingly so that we can show up for our teams in ways that are productive and helpful. Shelby, what do you think?
You know, as we look at what's happening around us, and at the time of this recording, there are protests happening in Los Angeles, and we want to be sensitive to current events, based on our professional backgrounds. We made a living, or making a living, based on staying up to date with current events and what's happening in the world. So we just want to be mindful of some of the things that are, taking place in the United States right now. And at the same time, like Belinda said, we also want to talk about how we maintain our own resilience. Like, two things can be true at the same time. Not so great things are happening, and we feel empathy. We feel concern for what other people are going through. And at the same time, we also have our own lives to maintain, and we want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves in a way that enables us to be good mothers, good wives, good professionals, good entrepreneurs, good workers, all the various roles that we are responsible for carrying out. We want to make sure that we are not crashing and burning despite some of the chaos that we're seeing and witnessing around us. And so we thought we would take this episode and share a couple of things that Belinda and I are doing to prevent ourselves from crashing out. And so I'll start. One of the things that I'm doing right now is being intentional about saying no. I've said in previous episodes that how I use my time and who I use my time on and with is important to me. And one of the things that I've been doing recently is really thinking about, when I commit to something, is it serving me and the other person who has asked me to do something? Because usually I'm all about service. I'm all about helping people. I'm all about saying yes. I want to be helpful. I want to be there for people when they ask me to do something. This year, I'm taking a slightly different approach in making sure that I'm setting boundaries and taking care of myself. It really is a form of self-care to be diligent and intentional about what I'm saying yes to and not feeling guilty about saying no. And so I'm really guarding myself, taking a different approach to taking care of myself by feeling less guilty about saying no.
I would say similarly, I am working hard at being more disciplined and intentional about my schedule, meaning that I say yes too much. Right?
Yes, you do.
I have to work on that. But to be able to say, especially in the context of entrepreneurship, this is when I'm going to reserve time to do X, Y, Z things that I need to do for my business. Here's time that I'm going to be able to dedicate to clients. And just having that be a bit more thought out and rigid. And a part of that is knowing that I need to ask for help. And so I'm working on getting someone to assist me with that because I'm not expert at that. And I need help. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to juggle. So I think asking for help is an integral part of that. That idea of being more disciplined about space and scheduling and meetings is not allowing the news cycle and things like that to take over, especially when I need to be present for my clients. So it's
Mm,
like a news alert hits, and then it's like 2 minutes before I'm supposed to log into something or meet someone somewhere, right? I'm
yeah.
walking in the door and something comes across the radio that's like wild as I'm stepping out of the car.
Yeah.
And so just taking more time to also settle myself and reminding myself of what I can control and
Hmm.
where my head needs to be before I walk into a meeting so that I'm not carrying that ping pong and that negativity with me into spaces and being
Hmm.
present in the ways that people expect me to be present.
Exactly. Something that I've been trying to do is to limit doom scrolling. I was in this really bad habit of right before bed was the time that I would get caught up on Instagram posts or Facebook posts or emails from friends. But you can quickly get into this spiral of looking at one post and then what did this person say? And ooh, here's a news headline about some star in Hollywood who's doing something they have no business doing. And then you get caught up in that. And then before you know it, it's like 2 or 3 in the morning and you have to be up in a few hours to go to work. And so I've really been trying to not do that. But beyond just not getting caught up on what's going on social media, really limiting my consumption of news in general,
Hmm.
frankly, because most of the headlines, at least the ones that the media outlets are curating for us, they're not positive. And so it's like if I'm consuming a lot of negativity, that's only going to have a negative impact on me and my attitude and my mindset and my day. And if I'm trying, to stay positive and stay focused, I don't need the unnecessary excess noise of all the terrible things that are happening in the world at any given moment. It's not that I'm walking around with my head in the sand because obviously I
Mm.
want to be conscious of what's going on in my community and in the country and in the world, more broadly. But at the same time, I am being more disciplined, to use your word, in how much I am consuming and making sure that I'm not getting into, this negative downward spiral of looking at one bad news story after the other. We can easily get caught up in the media spin of the day, and before you know it, you're feeling depressed because everything that you're consuming is just not it's not good for your soul.
I definitely agree with that. That actually ties in nicely with my second point, which is I think of life in like seasons, right? So it's summer here in the US. And I've been thinking about how to let go of some vices that I've developed over the last few months, and I'll let go of them slowly over the course of the summer. There are things that I've started doing that are not serving me well, and they actually probably lead me to the crash out zone, right?
Mm,
So the simple things that I'm going to start with are I have developed a little bit of a caffeine addiction. It's
mm,
like I need at least 1 cup a day. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but my eighth grade retreat, when I was graduating eighth grade, the topic was the dangers of caffeine. It was in the just say no era. I guess they just assumed that we were definitely going to say no to drugs. So we
right.
needed to know about caffeine. But it stuck with me.
Okay.
I've developed this addiction. I don't want to need anything. I don't want to
Hmm.
be dependent on any substance, even if it is something as simple as a latte. So I'm going to work on this need for a daily latte with oat milk. And my budget will also appreciate that.
Right.
I've also, in recent weeks, maybe even months, treated myself a lot to sweets, right?
Hmm.
I deserve a piece of pie. I deserve that cookie. I deserve whatever. And that sugar isn't serving me well either. So I want to
Hmm.
work on letting these two things go and finding other positive things to replace them with. I shouldn't need a latte to get through a meeting,
No, you shouldn't.
right? Or to talk to a person or something. Then there's bigger problems that we need to deal with. I'm
Hmm.
starting to address it. So let's peel that back so I can address those things too.
Hmm.
It's a couple things at a time. Like I got to get to my doom scrolling later. I'll continue to doom scroll for probably a few more weeks
Right.
and other stuff and other stuff. And so by the end of the summer, I would like to be back at a place where sometimes tough things happen, but whatever I'm choosing to do in my life, it's a choice and it's not a need. It's not a
Mhm.
must. Yeah, so that's something I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I can totally relate to the sugar and the caffeine. I'm not so much of a soda drinker, but I do need my lattes on a daily basis. But as you were speaking on these various vices that you are trying to get better control of, it made me think about my third point in taking care of your body, taking care of my health. That has been a priority for me in recent months. I've made sure that I've gone to all of my doctor's appointments, not just the annual exam, but at a certain age, you need to get a colonoscopy. And I want to put out a public service announcement, ladies,
It's
if you
important.
are of a certain age, you need to make sure that you are scheduling your mammograms, your colonoscopies, in addition to your normal physicals, which I hope you're doing on an annual basis anyway, but all of the other things that go along in taking care of your health. A hereditary thing in my family, particularly on my mom's side, vision issues have been an issue for years. So, just making sure that I'm taking care of my full self. I have been blessed to have never been in an accident where I needed to, have an operation. I've never been hospitalized. And that's something that I don't take for granted. Being in good health and wanting to maintain good health, to show a good example to my kids, but also just to, take care of me, to be fully physically 100% available and present in whatever I do. I have really been focusing on what is it that I'm consuming in my body? What am I putting into my body? I have given up fast food. That was something that I, made a personal commitment on at the beginning of the year. I've noticed a tremendous difference in my skin, my hair, my nails. I've been taking daily vitamins. I've really just been conscious of treating my body like the temple that it is and just making sure that I'm avoiding the toxins of the world and the toxins that make up a lot of the food that we eat here in the United States. Just not wanting to put things in my body that will cause it to self-destruct any earlier than it needs to. Just wanting to age gracefully. And again, just be conscious of what I'm consuming, both mentally, physically, like everything is something that I've been focused on.
100% agree. We're in alignment. It's definitely going to be the focus of the summer.
Yeah.
My third and final point is I am being very conscious about the idea of staying future focused so that I stay hopeful and I stay optimistic and realistic. When you are future focused, and at least in my view in this moment, what's done is done, things have happened, things are happening, like is what it is. How can I be part of the future that I want to see? And the future I want to see may not necessarily be rebuilding what was in the past.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what we had in the past wasn't so great. You and I were joking earlier about dorm rooms, right?
Yeah. Right.
And my dorm at my undergraduate institution, my freshman year dorm, is being torn down this summer.
Oh.
And I know all the good memories. And I love that place. I had a great time there.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody from Spelman's listening, HH is gone. That is okay. I don't know if I want my daughter to stay in HH. Like we didn't have air
Mm-hmm.
conditioning. We didn't have high-speed internet, right?
Ooh.
We shared bathrooms or whatever. In 2030 or whenever she goes to college, the earth is a little hotter than it was in 1996.
Yeah.
like,
She's going
I
to need
think she
some
needs air
AC for
conditioning.
sure.
They're building something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
HH is gone, but the
Mm-hmm.
future is going to be great. And it's going to have not just what kids need now, but what they're going to need going forward,
Absolutely.
as far as we can predict. That's the way I'm trying to think about this moment as I think about building my business, as I think about how I'm serving my clients, as I think about what I'm providing. It's not just, oh, I wish I could do what I did, or I wish I could give you something that will help you in the near future. How can I build something that's going to be what I've always dreamed of and will take us far beyond?
Mm-hmm.
That is the way that not only I'm trying to live my life, but I'm trying to encourage others to see things that way as well.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to chew on, and I would encourage everyone to think about, what are you doing to avoid crashing out? The world is crazy. Things are happening at such a pace and at such a velocity that it's really important to not just focus on how you're leading teams or leading organizations, but how are you leading yourself? How are you maintaining your sanity, your resilience, your sense of self, despite the things that are happening around you over which you have no control? It's really important to make sure that you are centered and doing the things that you need to do to lead yourself so that you can show up for others in the way that they need you.
You know what would be helpful is for those of you who are listening or watching, please drop into the comments, what is one thing that you're going to be doing to avoid that crash out scenario?
Thank you for watching us. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to share this episode with at least 3 friends and encourage them to subscribe. And let us hear from you. If there's content that you've enjoyed or ideas that you have for future episodes, we would love to hear from you. We look forward to sipping wisdom and stirring success with you again real soon.